Hello, I'm still not corry, and I'm still a dirty, disgusting anti-capitalist. But at least that's what some people said when I made my last video on capitalism. But we persevere. I'm going to be looking at some memes, screenshots, tweets, all of that stuff, showing why capitalism might not be the best idea. But before we get into that, why don't you go ahead and check out my Patreon. It's what lets me make these videos for you. Or you could also have a look at my merch. We've got stupid baby t-shirts and a whole bunch of gay stuff. If that's your style, maybe watching me and being gay? Ooh, I don't know. You could also go ahead and leave a comment down below answering the question, what is the last thing you bought? The last thing you spent money on? Let me know down there. Okay, let's start the video. I said the video was gonna start there, but I lied. I am gonna do a little disclaimer for the people that disagree with me who are already typing in the comments right now. Ha ha ha, he said he doesn't like capitalism, but he started the video off by saying, buy my stuff. What a hypocrite. That's not hypocritical. Okay, it is not hypocritical. I covered that in the last video on capitalism, so instead of explaining it all here, why don't you go ahead and watch that? Okay, let's actually start the video. So this tweet says, wage theft, add it to the progressive dictionary of absurd terminology. Getting paid to work is a privilege, not a right. That is dystopian and kind of horrific. In the capitalist system under which we live, you kind of need money to survive, and generally to get money, you got to work. Either that or you can skim value from other people's labor, but most people need to work. Otherwise, who are those people that are skimming value gonna skim value from, huh? Anyway, my point is that when you say that being paid to work is a privilege and not a right, that is kind of horrific. You're saying that some people deserve to die because they were not given the privilege of living. That is fucking horrific. Like, you can make whatever argument you want if that's your belief system, sure, but it's compassionless and it's fucking horrific. It is horrible. I genuinely cannot believe that there are people out there that can sit and look someone else in the eye and say, yes, people who do not have enough money deserve to die. Because that's what that's saying. If you don't have enough money, you deserve to die. You don't have a right to survival. You don't have a right to life. You deserve to die, and that's all you deserve, unless someone provides you the privilege of being able to live. That's what that's saying. And do you know what? What makes this ideology so much worse is that wealth and the ability to determine whether people live or die is not evenly or remotely fairly distributed. There are just some people who were born into wealth who have nothing to want for, who also have the power to decide whether others live or die. That is obscene. That is disgusting. I simply cannot believe that people can think this and also think themselves decent human beings worthy of living in society with other human beings, because that is fucking barbaric. This tweet says, Brussels Airlines runs 3,000 empty flights to maintain takeoff and landing slots. And there's a reply saying, thank God I washed out that used tin of chopped tomatoes to recycle the can. Yeah. This is a real problem, okay? There was this kind of marketing campaign that created the idea of a personal carbon footprint, which, you know what? Yes, we should all be making efforts to be more sustainable. We should be making efforts to protect the planet, doing what we can. But that is all futile. That is all worthless, so long as big corporations continue to do what they be doing. This is just one example. This is just one airline. This is a tiny glimpse into what all of these massive corporations are doing. They do not care about the planet. We need to create financial incentives because that is the only thing that companies care about. The only drive for them is increasing profits, whether that's through underpaying laborers, whether that's through destroying the fucking planet. It literally does not matter so long as the profits go up. So long as line go up, thing good. That's pretty much the only thing that drives those kinds of corporations, and that's a big reason as to why we're in the mess that we are in now. There is very, very little that individuals can do in comparison to just the extreme, disgustingly huge amount of damage that is being done by these massive companies. It is insane. And yes, we should continue recycling. We should continue trying to eat more sustainably. We should continue trying to reject fast fashion and all of those things. But until we force, and it will be forcing, until we force these companies to give a shit about the planet, pretty much all for naught. This is from a newspaper. It says, Mission Impossible. In 1965, I was a fireman earning £1,000 a year, and I bought a house for $3,500 with a mortgage of 3 times my salary. Today, that very ordinary property is valued at £650,000, so a buyer would need a £50,000 deposit and an income of £200,000 a year. This shows how utterly impossible the situation is for young people. Thank you, John, for pointing out the absolutely unfair difference between people of my generation and people of that generation. People of my generation, there are so many of us that just cannot imagine buying a house. When a friend buys a house, I'm like, oh damn, crazy bro, good job. It is not a normal thing. So many people I know are hitting their 30s and whatnot and still renting because that is just how we have to live. If you want to have a well-paying job in a city like London, it's gonna be really bloody difficult to buy a house. And you could say, oh, move out elsewhere, move somewhere cheaper. The jobs don't pay as much out there. Do you not think it's a little bit ridiculous that in the capital of the UK, it is not really possible for someone earning a pretty decent wage to buy a house, a home, a place to live, a basic necessity of human life, somewhere to live, a roof over your head. And we just can't get that. We have to rent it from someone else who has more than they need and chooses to make people pay through the goddamn nose for a basic fucking necessity. That's insane. If this was water or air that this was being done to, people would be up in fucking arms. But we've managed to convince ourselves that buying up a bunch of basic necessities and extorting people for them is okay when it's houses. That's insane. It's absolutely insane. Every single person should be able to live in a house that is theirs. They should be able to. We can do that. So why don't we? Why are there so many homeless people when there are so many empty houses? Why do so many landlords exist that do nothing but skim money from people that actually work, that actually contribute something? That is insane. Just by landlords buying up a bunch of houses to rent out to other people, it makes it harder for people who want to live in a house to buy said house. The way that landlords exist today is horrifying. I hope to God that in the future we look back on today and think, how barbaric, how horrible was it to live in this society where basic human needs weren't met just because some people wanted to accrue more and more wealth. We could make it so that every single person on this planet does not have to worry about their survival, but we choose not to. We choose not to so that some people can have an extreme, obscene amount of wealth. That's fucking horrifying. Here's a tweet that says, my girlfriend regularly tells me if free public libraries didn't already exist and someone tried to invent them, they would be condemned as a socialist plot. And I think about that a lot. I don't think this tweet has fully left my head since I first saw it because libraries are amazing and I'm so glad that they still exist. This is a public place where all you need is a card and you can go in and you can borrow movies, you can borrow books, you can access the internet. It's amazing. I love that libraries exist. If the whole world was built the way that libraries are, it would be so much better. Just with that sort of design philosophy, with that idea, with that sort of thesis in mind of let's create a place for people to come and get information without having to pay for it. It's fantastic. It is absolutely brilliant and it's correct. If someone tried to start up a library today, had they not existed before, that wouldn't be happening. That would not be happening. Literally, the United States of America does not have public health care. How the f*** would they make libraries happen if one of the most basic things of making sure that people aren't dying from being ill is something that America is f***ing up royally? Imagine them trying to do something as trivial as, hey, let's maybe let people access information without having to pay. Like, I'm so glad that libraries were created and they've not yet died out because they are just a wonderful resource. They are fantastic. But as far as I'm aware, a lot of libraries are in danger and you should check out your public library. Go ahead and support it. They are fantastic. Just like community centers, libraries are such a good thing. I'm so glad they exist. Here's a thread that starts off with an image of what looks to be homeless people in tents in a public park. And someone has replied to that saying, example of future housing plans under communism. And the reply to that says, this is literally the current housing plan under capitalism. One of my favorite things to see online is people to take a picture of a capitalist society. Just something from that, you know, a bunch of homeless people, empty shelves, crises and whatnot, and say, this would happen under communism. It's happening under capitalism. People are starving to death under capitalism. People are being exploited under capitalism. People are being murdered under capitalism. People are dying because of capitalism. What is baffling to me is that people see this as a baseline. We have been brainwashed into thinking that capitalism is the norm, that it's the baseline, that it is good, that it is the natural progression of human society, that if left untouched, all human societies would eventually end up at capitalism. That is the kind of idea that we have been taught. We have been taught that capitalism is different from these other ideologies, that capitalism is barely even an ideology in and of itself, but it is not different. It is exactly the same as the others. It is an ideology. It is a system that we have set up, and it's a system that we can tear down to make something better. That is a main key to keeping the status quo, by making everyone believe that the status quo is a baseline, and anything else is a deviation from that. That capitalism is natural and normal, and communism is an ideology. We don't think of capitalism as an ideology, but it is. We don't think of capitalism as a system in the same way as we think of other economic systems. But it is. If you ask some capitalists how capitalism developed, they'll tell you that all it took for capitalism to happen was for all the things that were stopping it from happening just to be removed. And then society would naturally progress towards capitalism. That is not true. We can determine our own fate. We can choose what kind of society we live in. If capitalism is broken, we can fix it. Okay, that's the end of this video. Don't forget to go down to the comments and let me know what the last thing you purchased was. I'm very interested to know. Go down there to the comments, leave a little comment telling me. Also, leave a like on this video. And since you're here watching this, you should subscribe. Literally, what is the reason not to? There is no reason. Subscribe, please, and thank you. And also, see these people? These are my patrons. You can join my Patreon as well if you'd like. You get a whole bunch of cool stuff. You get bonus videos and early videos and things of that nature. You can also get little shout outs at the end of my videos, like I'm about to do now. A little thank you to Ataraxia25, to Maul, to Christopher A. Butler. Thank you to Danito. Thank you to Brad the Music Duck. And thank you to Maxwell17. That is all from me. Goodbye.